new set of essays you've sent us. The first one is about becoming dependent on the internet and phone. Let's see what you said here. Experts throughout both the developing and developed countries have debated whether reliance on technological devices such as mobile phones and the web has a positive impact or poses a risk to people's lives. This essay will discuss both sides using examples from the UK government and Oxford University to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Okay, I don't know what happened here. All right, a couple of things I want to talk about in this introduction. First of all, grammar. We don't say the developing and developed countries. We say developing and developed countries without the, or we say the developing and developed world. All right, that's the first thing. The second thing is that you've missed an opportunity here with this sentence to do something that's really important for task achievement, okay? If you look at the band descriptors for task 2, under task achievement, band 7, it says presents a clear position throughout the response. What is the position? The position is whatever your answer to this question is, okay? Do the benefits outweigh the disadvantages? You didn't answer that in your introduction. You only told us that you're going to discuss both sides. Do you have to discuss both sides in this essay? Yes, you do, absolutely. But in order to be considered for a band 7, you need to do this, okay? You need to make your position clear. Throughout means from the beginning. So the best way to make it clear from the beginning is by including it in your introduction. All right, so let's move on. On the one hand, there is ample evidence that supports the idea that the use of mobile phones could bring people closer and help disseminate vital information in a timely manner. Okay, the central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, with the use of these portable devices, families around the globe, separated by distance, can easily communicate with each other. Okay. Secondly, sending and receiving important messages in the workplace or at home is made possible in the fastest way due to the convenient, with a T, use of such tools. To further elaborate this, a recent empirical research, a recent empirical study, or again, no A, and then recent empirical research by the UK government demonstrated that families from different parts of the world are more bonded now. We don't really say that are more bonded now. We say are closer now, or maybe bond more or have stronger bonds compared to when smartphones were not yet invented. They weren't discovered, okay? It's not like a cure for disease. They were invented. Since messages can be exchanged easily and quickly. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that there is a considerably strong case to be made in favor of using the phone and web technology to improve family ties and communication. All right, the first thing I want to talk about is that besides the little corrections that I made in some of the grammar, I thought your grammar here was really quite good. There was some nice vocabulary as well. So it read easily, and that's great. I didn't struggle to get through this. So that's a great starting point. However, I did see a couple of problems with this paragraph, and that's what I want to talk about now. The first problem is that you're not really talking about what you're supposed to be talking about. As you mentioned in your introduction, you're supposed to be talking about reliance on technological devices. Look, becoming dependent. So that's what this essay is about. It's about whether our dependence on these devices has more benefits or disadvantages. Not just whether the devices themselves are beneficial or not. Okay? So while you're kind of on the right topic, you're not actually talking about what you're supposed to be talking about. We're not concerned about the devices themselves, but it's our reliance on them, our dependence on them that we're supposed to be discussing in this paragraph, okay? So that's the first thing, and this would most certainly lower your task achievement score, all right, if this were an exam situation. So be aware of this and be careful about it. Now, the second thing that was a little troublesome for me was the organization of some of your ideas and how you develop them. Let's see. So here you're saying that the use of mobile phones brings people together. Okay. And then you say that the reason is families communicate with each other. Okay. I mean, I don't really think that this is the reason. So families communicate with each other. That's the reason why we're closer together and we disseminate information. I kind of felt like you were talking around in circles. That was the first thing. But then you went to your second idea, and you said something about workplace and is made possible. And then you didn't really talk about it. You said to further elaborate this, but you actually didn't elaborate this. What you did here is you ended up talking about families again. So I didn't really think that the placement of this sentence was appropriate. Like, I thought all of this should have gone after families. Okay? And then what that means then is that you have no support for this idea at all. All right? So you needed to, because you don't want to have any ideas that are unsupported. You want to make sure that everything is fully supported and you've given some sort of explanation, some sort of further illustration, some sort of details about them. Okay? Let's see. And then, all right. But again, the biggest problem for me is the fact that you're not really talking about dependence, but you're just talking about, the fact that we're communicating with these devices. All right. So let's move further. On the other hand, although there is a case for the use of smartphones and the internet benefiting, the impact of people's over-reliance cannot be overstated. This is largely because mobile phones emit radiation that may cause sleep disturbances. To exemplify this, an extensive study by Oxford University showed that the excessive use of phones and exposure causes difficulty in sleeping, which may greatly affect an individual's overall performance. Thus, it's possible to state beyond doubt that the use of such technology could considerably weaken one's effectiveness. Now, do you know what the problem with this paragraph is? Let's talk about it. Look, do the benefits outweigh the disadvantages? So it's talking about multiple benefits, multiple disadvantages. They're assuming that there's more than one of each, okay? So more than one benefit, more than one disadvantage. Unfortunately, in this paragraph, you only talked about one, all right? And the fact that the radiation, causes sleep disturbance, and that affects our performance. So that's the only thing you talked about, okay? So it's not enough. An examiner, again, is going to give you a lower score in task achievement because of this. All right, so it's really important that you answer the question, you follow the instructions, you really, really understand what you're being asked to talk about. All right, so from the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that the advantages of mobile phones and internet are invaluable. Nevertheless, the technology must be used in moderation. Therefore, the pros of using phones are greater than the cons. All right, now here you can clearly see that this is not what they asked you. The pros of using phones are greater. No, you should have been talking about, I'll say it one more time, even though I've said it a bunch, dependence on these things, okay? All right, so my suggestion to you is when you get one of these tasks, absolutely dedicate some time to understanding it, to analyzing it, and really going through it to make sure that you're answering what the question is asking you and not what you think it is asking you. All right, it does take some time to analyze it and make sure you fully understand it. And you want to remember that sometimes these questions are more complicated than they appear on the surface. Okay, so spend some time looking at it. All right, so that's it for task 2. Let's take a look now at your task 1. All right, so here it is. It's a cover letter. Let's see what you wrote. Dear sir, ma'am, pleasant day. I, Josephina Angelica O. Mendoza, am writing to your good office for the position of pharmacy manager as advertised in LinkedIn. I finished my bachelor's degree in pharmacy in St. Louis University and was able to pass the licensure exam with a 95% overall passing mark. I am a very determined, organized, and systematic person. All right. Let's talk a little bit about this first paragraph. First of all, let's get rid of pleasant day. It's a formal letter, so you don't want to start off with any of these kind of wishes, essentially. And this too feels to me a little awkward. It's not particularly natural. So you don't have to say your name. You could simply say, I am writing, and not your good office. You also don't want to kind of, overdo it. So why don't we just do something else, like I am writing regarding the position of pharmacy manager as advertised in LinkedIn. That would have been more than enough, really. It would have been probably your best choice here. All right, but let's move on. When I was still studying, no, the tense here is wrong. Look what's happening here. When I was still studying, it became my dream to be a part of your prestigious company. You have to make sure that your time markers and your tenses are fit each other, essentially. My professor used to talk. No, he don't talk a lot of great things. He used to say. So my professor used to say a lot of great things about the company and how it molds people to become good practicing professionals. These are just a few of the many reasons I really want to be a part of such a reputable institution. It would be such an honor if you would be able to consider my application. All right. So here clearly you're talking about your energy, enthusiasm, and I like this. I like that you mentioned, that you've known about this company since you were a student. Um, and it shows that you're very interested in this particular company and not just any old job in general. So that was good. But I did feel that some of this was a little informal and not particularly academic sounding. But again, just not professional and formal as it should be. So my professor, you said here, used to talk a lot of great things. This whole expression to me, besides the fact that we corrected the word was say, it still felt a little wrong. So my professor spoke very highly about the company. All right. It's a much more professional way of saying this. Let's see. And then I don't like the word good here. Good practicing professionals. There are a lot of words that we use all the time in spoken speech. Okay. Good, bad, nice, big, small. But for the purposes of IELTS, I really don't want to see them because they're just so basic. And there are so many other higher level vocabulary words that you could use here that are far more precise and would do the job you needed to do. Okay. You could have said skilled practicing professionals, or it molds people to become highly capable practicing professionals. All right. So there are a lot of different expressions you could use here, but good is not one I really want to see. And then I really want to be a part of such a reputable institution. I really want is really informal. Okay. So let's try that again. These are just a few of the many reasons I would be pleased to be part of such a reputable institution. Let's see, many reasons I would be honored to be such a part of a reputable institution, something like that, all right? But not I really want, which is just really informal. Okay, and then I didn't really care for this sentence at all, just because it doesn't really have the level of professionalism that a cover letter should have. It would be such an honor. It doesn't really belong in a cover letter like this. Let's move on. When I already read that, sorry. I was a clinical pharmacist in St. Louis Medical Center, one of the hospitals in the metro. In the metro area. My job scope included doing operations, coordinating with doctors and nurses regarding the optimal use of medications, and supervising newly hired pharmacists. I am hoping that with my previous experience and skills, I would be able to contribute to your company's vision of service. That's nice. I like that last sentence a lot. My CV is attached to this letter for future reference. Sincerely yours. All right. You can't say sincerely yours because you don't know the name of the person. When you don't know the name of the person in a formal letter, it should be yours faithfully. Okay? But like I said, I really like that last sentence here. The only other thing that I would like is maybe a better link between these two paragraphs. So just something like, regarding my relevant experience, I was a clinical pharmacist. So I would have liked that. This way we know, we kind of have like an intro to what this paragraph is about. Okay, so good things happening here in this letter, but there are some things that I absolutely want you to take a look at and revise. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Let's see, let's see these corrected, and let's see your next set of essay. I'll be waiting, so go ahead, get started, and we'll meet back here with that next set. Good luck.